Everybody, quick match reaction from myself, Luke. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and make sure you check out Secure It VPN. If you use the code ParkLanePod when joining them, then you do get a 25% discount on your first month. But let's move on to today's match. Spurs 2, Chelsea 0. And look, I'm not going to brag and, hype my own ego and everything else about what I said on Saturday's show if you did watch it. If you haven't, watch it back. But I quite clearly spoke in, with a lot of confidence about how Spurs were going to win this game. I also predicted that we would win 2-0. So make of that what you will. But I knew this Chelsea team under Graham Potter would suffer. I knew that they wouldn't be able to break down Spurs. And I knew that Spurs would keep a clean sheet in today's game. And my God, was I right. Look, Chelsea played some nice football at times, played it back and forth, side to side. But they weren't able to break us down. Spurs were more hungry. Spurs were better on the attack. And Spurs have much better players in terms of goal scorers. So that's enough about Chelsea. Let's move on to Spurs' performance today. Because obviously first half, right? It was another classic Tottenham Hotspur first half. Even under Stellini, you are still watching Conte ball. And whether, you're into that, whether you're not into that, what we saw today in the first half especially was a very average, drab performance as you would usually expect from Spurs under Conte. But saying that, we were solid in defence and, we didn't really allow Chelsea to have many chances in the game at all. If we look at the stats from the first half in that game, for example, Chelsea had one shot on target in the first half. Obviously, we had none. But, we really did limit them. And with their poor attacking ability, even with the likes of João Felix on loan, they weren't able to break us down. But let's go through the starting lineup because it was unchanged from last weekend's win against West Ham, which we did expect. We did expect Stellini to stay with Emerson Royal at right wing back, which is, undoubtedly deserved. Again, Ben Davies at left wing back. He's been absolutely tremendous in the last two games. And whether you're into Ben Davies or not, watching him play that left wing back role as opposed to watching him play as a left-sided centre back, he's getting much higher up the pitch. And he surprised me with his attacking abilities because I tell you what, he is incredible when it comes to going forward. Yes, okay, maybe his final ball isn't great, but nor's Perisic, nor's Sessegnon. But he has that ability and, I don't want to say turn of pace because he doesn't really have that much pace, but you see him popping up time and time again. Let's look back at West Ham last week, when he popped up and he's one that played the ball over to Emerson Royal. And, a lot of props need to go to Ben Davies. And, people had a lot to say about him in a left-sided centre-back role at the end of the last season. But I think, we will see a lot more of Ben Davies as a left wing-back for the rest of this season, in my opinion. Across the middle of defence, we're Christian Romero, Eric Dyer, and Clement Longley. I think Dyer and Longley were pretty average, but they are always pretty average defenders. But, I've been proven wrong time and time again with Christian Romero. When I've asked Romero to step up and when I've suggested that he needs to show more aggression, but to a degree in which it is not hindering Spurs' performance, such as it did or could have potentially done against Man City. But he was fired up. He knew what it meant to play against Chelsea in a London derby. And he was clinical when it needed to be. His tackles were hard, but they were timed well. And I think he was absolutely outstanding. And if he continues to put in performances like he did today, I think you could start talking about him being one of the best centre-backs in the league. So I think he was absolutely incredible. Obviously, Oliver Skipp played alongside Højbjerg. I thought that Højbjerg was all right. Again, he did some bits that were pretty good. He was tidy in possession, and obviously had a deflected shot which did hit the post. But my God, let's talk about Oliver Skipp for the opening goal because I thought that One thing I like about Skip, because I said this a couple of seasons ago on some channels that I was on, and I said that Oliver Skip we need to be careful with because he has a lot of potential, but we need to not expect too much. Against AC Milan, against West Ham last week, and against Chelsea today, he was tidy. He was very tidy, and he was winning the ball, and he was playing with aggression, and he showed glimpses of silky footwork as well. But his strike to score his first ever Spurs goal, my God, he's not going to score a goal better than that. It gave me Danny Rose vibes, against Arsenal, and it was just a really, really good finish, and I'm absolutely over the moon for Skippy because if he continues to develop his game in this way, and he continues to score goals, and he continues to add, key performances in Champions League games, we shouldn't expect it right now, but I think coming on to the next season and following seasons, he could be a really integral part of Spurs' midfield. And I have no doubt that he can, be in a midfield in a Spurs team that end up winning this Premier League. I think he's that good. Obviously, we had a front three of Kulusevski, Kane, and Richarlison. I thought again Kulusevski was a bit average today, but what he did have is he does have really good link-up play with Emerson Royale, who does now like to cut inside instead of going around the outside. That inverted wing-back role for Emerson Royale, I think, suits him perfectly. I think it's going to be tricky for Pedro Porro to fit into that. And I think his link-up work with Kulusevski is key as well. Harry Kane is Harry Kane. I've called for times for Richarlison to play in the number 9 and Harry Kane to play in the number 10 in a new style of system. But I don't think we'll ever see that under Conte. I think when Conte goes, the next manager, if he's smart enough, could look at that. But Harry Kane, again, with his range of passing, his ability to ping it out wide to Ben Davies, and look, just his ability to know where he needs to be for those corners and score the second goal to win the game for Spurs. You run out of superlatives for Harry Kane. I felt like Richarlison was good, a little bit like Kulusevski. I never ever expect Richarlison to score, and I know that sounds crazy because of the position that he plays in. But in a wing position that he would play in this Spurs team, I feel like what you get out of him is you get desire, you get heart, and you get a little bit of spice, which I like from him. What I want from Richarlison is what you kind of get. You want him winning free kicks in high positions, being able to stop the run of play, being able to, create a set piece attacking position from a final third place on the pitch. And, I think he does that really well. Would I like to see him scoring more goals? Yes. At the start of the season, I expected him to get between 5 and 10 goals for Spurs. I don't think he's going to reach even 5. But, we do all really want to see him. And I don't think anybody's really on Richarlison's back that much. Because in reality, when he plays either on the left, which we saw today, or on the right, which we did see when Kulusevski came off and Son came on, I think he has that versatility. But I do want to see him playing as a lone striker at some point for Spurs, like he does for Brazil. But again, that will come. I don't think anybody's looking at Richarlison and saying, "Oh, right, we need to cut our losses and sell him now." I think that would be idiotic to do that, and I think that you need to give him a little bit of time. Overall, what can I say? As I said at the start of the video, I told people we would win. I told people we would win 2-0, and everyone can make up these claims. And of course, me getting 2 score predictions right 2 weeks in a row is luck. Those are just numbers that we pull out of the sky. But in terms of knowing that Spurs would win this game and knowing that we wouldn't concede in this game are just facts. And that's based on any of Chelsea's last performances when you look at how difficult it is for them to score goals. They tried, and they did try to play an old Chelsea style. They tried to play with the likes of Havertz and Ziyech and Reece James and Chilwell. All of these kind of known Chelsea players rather than these new players that they have brought in like Madueke, Mudryk, and other players like that. But I felt like Spurs always had the number on Graham Potter. And I don't like to see Graham Potter, falter like this, but I'm more than happy for Spurs to start cementing that position in the top 4. And I seriously believe we will finish top 4 this season. Whether you believe that or not, you should start believing, because these last performances under Stellini have been They've been clinical. They haven't been pretty to watch, but you wouldn't expect that. But they've also been tight in defence. And that's something that I think Ben Davies offers. He offers that ability for us to come back into a solid 5, or if Emerson Morales further forward, they can all shift across, and it can be a back 4. And to play his 300th game for Spurs is incredible. And big up to Ben Davies, because a lot of people have been telling us to get rid of him, and maybe it is time for him to go. But performances like he's putting in now prove that there are more people at this football club that need to go before Ben Davies does. So what I want to know in the comments section, if you've been watching this video, is I want to know your thoughts on the game. I also want to know your thoughts on the referee. I feel like there were 2 controversial decisions in the game. Personally, I don't know if... Look, I wouldn't have been upset if Ziyech had been sent off, but I can understand why it was rescinded. The part I don't understand is why it took the referee so long to decide to send him off when he's always talking to VAR in his ear anyway, for them to 30 seconds later ask him to just go over to the monitor. He might as well just cut out that entirely and just gone with what VAR said and just given him a yellow. I think it was a lot of handbags at dawn, and I felt like Chelsea were really, really rattled, because Spurs came out in this game like they knew what they wanted, and they knew it was a London derby. Chelsea, I said this on Saturday's show as well, the Chelsea players in this squad don't really know what it feels like to play in a London derby and play what it feels like to play against Spurs, but Spurs do. And I felt like that was always going to be, the winning mentality that we needed. So, yeah, I want to know your thoughts on the referee in this game. I'm not going to start sounding like Arsenal and, saying that the league's against us. We won the game. I want to know those thoughts. I want to know your thoughts on all of the players today, who you thought your man of the match was. Do you think that Oliver Skipp can become a Spurs legend, or is he just too weak like Harry Winks? I want to know all of these things in the comments, but it's been a great day. It's a great win for Spurs. We're back in the top 4. Make sure you're liking this video. Make sure you're subscribing, and I'll see you next Saturday at 11 a.m. as we do every week. So come on, you Spurs.
On,